welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Charity, and if it's your first time here, you're watching Booked on Charity. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you the 15 African literature books that are on my radar for the year 2023. I didn't do that great in this year with regards to reading African literature. I think that I got to a point where in the beginning of the year I was very interested in doing it, and I joined a book club in order to do that, but I felt a little bit overwhelmed at some point, so I completely stopped. And I do have quite a number of African literature books on my shelf, and I would like to kind of like dedicate some of them so I can actually give them the time and I can finally read them. So the first book I would like to get into is Black and Female, and this is a collection of essays by Tsitsi Dangarempa, and I just want to read a little bit of what it says on the inside. So it says, this paradigm shifting essay collection weaves the personal and political in an illuminating exploration of internationally acclaimed novelist Tsitsi Dangarempa's complex relationship with race and gender. At once philosophical, intimate, and urgent, Dangarempa's landmark essays address for the first time the profound cultural and political questions that underpin her novels. From her experience of life in a foster family in Dover and the difficulty of finding a publisher as a young Zimbabwean novelist, to the ways in which colonialism continues to disrupt the lives and minds of those subjugated by empire, Dangarempa writes to recenter marginalized voices. I think this is going to be such an important book to read. Just wanted to quickly show you the naked hardback, which is just a plain white hardback, and yeah, I really like this cover as well. I like the cover and the lettering. I like how it looks. So this is the first book I would like to get to. The next book I would like to get to is The Thing Around Your Neck by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda is actually one of my favorite authors, but I've fallen off the wagon or her wagon a little bit, because once I got to other genres and other books, I haven't picked up her books, but she was one of the first authors that I picked up, and I absolutely love her work. So this one says, from the author of Half of a Yellow Sun, which is my favorite book from her, and Americana, come 12 dazzling stories. So this is also a short story collection. I actually didn't know that it was a short story collection. Adichie turns a penetrating eye on the ties that bind men and women, parents and children, Nigeria and the West, on love and dislocation, violence and faith, and the moments of epiphany that illuminate the beauty and desperation of ordinary lives. So I'm really interested in this one. It's quite a short book, so it should be really easy to get through, and I do enjoy Chimamanda's writing a lot. I think she's really brilliant. Yeah, but you know, even if it's short, I mean, African stories, I take them very personally and very seriously, and when I read, I always read in that mindset, whereas if I'm reading a fantasy book, I'll just dive into it, you know. But these, I will read between the lines, and I would try to find meaning behind things when it is not obvious, because sometimes authors do tend to do that. The next book I would like to get to is a chunker. It is 566 pages, and that is The Old Drift, and this is by Namwali Sapel. So this says in the front, the great African novel of the 21st century, and this is what Tate Thompson said, and it is a 2020 winner of the Arthur C. Clarke Award. So this says, on the banks of the Zambezi River, a few miles from the majestic Victoria Falls, there was once a colonial settlement called the Old Drift. In 1904, in a smoking room at the hotel across the river, an old drifter named Percy M. Clark, foggy with fever, makes a mistake that entangles his fate with those of an Italian hotelier and an African busboy. So begins a cycle of unwitting retribution between three Zambian families as they collide and converge over the course of a century into the present and beyond. I've heard people say really good things about this book, and because it's so thick, I feel like it's going to be one of those that might take me quite some time to read, but I am interested in reading and taking the time to explore more African history and African stories. The next book I have is from a South African author, and this is Bantu Knots, and this is by Lebo Mazibuko. When I got this book, I was so excited for it, but for some reason I never got the chance to read it, and I've heard really great things about this. So this says, it's not just hair, Mini, even though hair is one way we use to express ourselves. So young Naledi wants to trade her Bantu knots for Nontle Tema's hair on the dark and lovely box, basically meaning she wants to relax her hair. She grows up in Soweto with her strict grandmother, Mama Nora. During the day, she lives vicariously through the characters of Ndinde Street, and at night, she recites Bible verses with Mama. Meanwhile, her mother, Dineo, is out chasing the blessed lifestyle. When Lady starts university, away from Mama's watchful eye, they are men, love, parties, feminism, art, politics, and sex. This sounds quite interesting, and I kind of like that it is about hair, but it's not all about hair, if that makes sense, because obviously I'm all for natural hair and I love that, but I'm happy that it seems, according to the back of the book, that there is more to be told in the story, and maybe when it comes especially to dating and things like that, how she's perceived in the world. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The next book I have is We Need New Names, and this is by Noir Bulawayo. And this book was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2013. I'm a little embarrassed about this one because this is a book that my aunt borrowed to me quite some time back, and I haven't even read it. But it says, 10-year-old Darling has a choice. It's down or out. In a shanty called Paradise, Darling and her friends spent their day stealing guavas and singing Lady Gaga, all while gasping at memories of life before and dreaming of escape. A dream that one day comes true for Darling. But as Darling discovers, her new life in America is a far cry from what she imagined, and this new world brings with it dangers of its own. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think the title is quite intriguing, and I have thoughts in my head of what I think is gonna happen, but I'm looking forward to actually seeing what the author wrote. The next book I got is actually a recent purchase, and this is Lagos Noir. I have no idea what this is about, but it is a collection of short stories, and I see a few, well, I saw one author that I recognize, Nedi Okorafor, and it has, let me just maybe read to you if they give us a full list. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a long list, but I don't think, is this list? Okay, table of contents. Okay, so we've got, it seems like there's a theme. So there's 3 themes as far as I can pick up. Part 1 is cops and robbers, part 2 is in a family way, and part 3 is arrivals and departure. And I'm just gonna read to you the name of the author and the short story that they wrote. So Jude Dibia wrote What They Did That Night. Chika Onigwe wrote Heaven's Gate. Neri Okorafor, which is an author I love, wrote Show Logo. A. Igono Barretts wrote Just Ignore and Try to Endure, and this is all from Cops and Robbers. And from In a Family Way, Sarah Ladipo Manyika wrote The Swimming Pool, and Adebola Rayo wrote What Are You Going to Do? Onyinye Ihezuku wrote For Baby 4-3. Uche Okonkwo wrote Eden. Will Lawal wrote Joy. And for Arrivals and Departures, which is part 3, Pemi Aguda wrote Choir Boy. E.C. Osondu wrote The Walking Stick, and Leye Andele wrote Uncle Sam, and then finally Chris Abani wrote Killer Ape. So I'm interested to read what this is all about. The nice thing about short stories is that you can literally read one short story, put the book down, and then, you know, pick up other things and come back and read the next story and so forth. I am one who typically reads them in the order that they written, from the first to the very last, but I do know some people do like to kind of like jump around the different stories. I go from start to finish. So it says Lagos has, like many coastal cities, a very checkered and noir past. It is the largest city in Nigeria and its former capital. It is also the largest megacity on the African continent, with a population approximating 21 million, and by itself it is the fourth largest economy in Africa. It is rumored that there were more canals in Lagos than in Venice, except in Lagos they are often unintentional. Gutters that have become waterways, lagoons fenced in by stilt homes or full of logs for a timber industry most of us don't know exists. All of it skated by canoes as slick as any dragonfly. There are currently no moonlight or other gondola rides available. So there's 13 stories in here. So I'm looking forward to this one. The next book, also I am embarrassed because I started this so long ago and I stopped it and I need to continue, but my friends are like, no, don't you dare continue, start afresh. And I'm like, but it takes so long to read it. And the story is so interesting to me because every time I read it, I found myself going on my phone to Google more information on the history, right? Because the story was taking so long, but then I'll end up like on my phone for an hour reading up on the actual history of Ethiopia. And I am talking about The Shadow King by Mazamengiste, and this is Ethiopia in 1935. With the threat of Mussolini's army looming, recently orphaned Hirat struggles to adapt to her new life as a maid. Her new employer, Kidani, an officer in Emperor Haile Selassie's army, rushes to mobilize his strongest men before the Italians invade. Hirat and the other women long to do more than care for the wounded and bury the dead. When Emperor Haile Selassie goes into exile and Ethiopia quickly loses hope, it is Sarat who offers a plan to maintain morale. She helps disguise a gentle peasant as the emperor. Wait, I didn't get to that. No. I didn't get to that. See, I didn't get to that. I got halfway through the book and I didn't get to that. I'm not gonna read any further. But I feel like it's such an important story that tells women's involvement in war and how they also helped, you know, to liberate the people of their country. So I think it's very important. The writing style is quite dense, and that's honestly what made it difficult for me to get through, but it's not a book that I would ever want to DNF because I want to know the story, and I think it's important to know, and one day I would like my daughter as well, you know, to read a book like this and kind of like get a glimpse of history. The next book I have is also by Titi Dangaremba, and this one is called This Mournable Body. So I also have no idea what this is about, but I know a lot of people really love this author, and obviously I've got 2 books from the author, but I haven't even picked up one yet, but this says when Tambuzai first set out to rebuild the financial and social status she spent her youth working for, she could not have known that every move she made would bring her one step closer to sacrificing the dignity of her family and community. Her choices seem innocuous. She moves from a rundown youth hostel in downtown Harare to a widow's boarding house, and she finds work first as a biology teacher and then in the opportunities field of ecotourism. But when a long overdue homecoming culminates in a humiliating spectacle, Dambudzai is forced to consider whether it was her circumstances or her decisions that brought her to this breaking point. So I'm interested to see what it's about. I know that quite a number of people really like this book, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay. The ninth book I'm going to show you is Black Consciousness, a love story, and this is by Hlumelo Biko. It says, in 1968, two young medical students, Steve Biko and Mampela Rampele, fell in love while dreaming of a life free from oppression and racial discrimination. Their love story is also the story of the founding of the Black Consciousness Movement, BCM, by a group of 15 principled and ambitious students at the University of Natal in Durban in the early 1970s. So this is definitely a South African book, and I'm thinking we'll probably touch a little bit on South African history and colonialism, as well as apartheid. So I am looking forward to seeing what this is all about. Books like this, especially like war books or books set in war, I think, fine, I love the Poppy War, but I feel like because I'm so far removed from that world and the culture, it doesn't affect me as much as when I read South African books about war. Those affect me more, and I find myself as well with other African countries. I can read them, but when it comes to South African books, I struggle a little bit. I don't know if anybody else also goes through this, but I need to maybe explore that a little bit more and try to get comfortable with it, or take it one story at a time. I don't know, but I do struggle, and I just want to say that. The next book I have is Son of the House, and this is by Cheluchi Onyemelukwe Onyobia. I hope I said all of that correctly. And this says, in the city of Enugu in the 1970s, young Nwabulu dreams of becoming a typist as she endures her employer's endless chores. Although a housemaid since the age of 10, my goodness, she is tall and beautiful and in love with a rich man's son. Educated and privileged, Julie is a modern woman. Living on her own, she is happy to collect the gold jewelry love-struck Eugene brings her, but has no intention of becoming his second wife. I feel like this Eugene is going. Is Eugene the one that Nwabulu is in love with? I don't know. I don't want to read any further. But I'm interested in this one. Actually, when I picked up this book, I had no idea what the synopsis is, but somebody in the reading group said that it is good. And I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. I'll buy it. The next book I have is a new release and was recently sent to me. Ooh, I didn't even realize that there's a paper in here. It's a book that was recently sent to me by the people at Pan Macmillan, and the author recently had a book launch. But unfortunately I wasn't able to go to it, but I know Vuvu from Vuvena Reads as well as Umpile from Bukamso Book Club. I'll link their channels below. They went to their book launch, and you can check out the vlogs that they uploaded with regards to the book launch. But I'm talking about An Angel's Demise, and this is by Sue Nyati. Sue Nyati is an author that I enjoyed reading from, and I've only read one book. I've read A Family Affair, but I've heard that all the other books are really good. She's also written The Polygamist and The Gold Diggers, and obviously A Family Affair, and this is the fourth novel. I'm really excited. I love her writing style. I love her storytelling. So, and when I was listening to Bubu's, watching Bubu's vlog, and Sue was talking about when she started writing the book as a teenager, and or rather like kind of like the idea of the book as a teenager, and recently finished it. It took her like 3 months to write. It's like she does a lot of research to get to this to these stories, to tell these stories, and I really appreciate that. So it says An Angel's Demise is an epic saga that explores a contested legacy and the heart-rending destiny of a family. The year is 1977, and the story begins on a farm in Somabula with the birth of Angel. The farm is run by Paul Williams, an outwardly harsh and bigoted man who holds the livelihoods of many in his hands. When Angel's parents join the liberation struggle, she is left in the care of her grandmothers, who have been in service to the Williams family for generations. Angel grows up on the farm over three momentous decades that see a convoluted past and inheritance unfold into an equally complicated present. Through her, we see a woman's quest to unearth her identity and assert her independence. In the process of self-discovery, Angel realizes that sometimes you need to be uprooted before you could grow. Oh, that's a good line. That is a good line. I need lots of, what is it? What are those stickers for annotating? I need lots of annotating stickers because I feel like I'm gonna be annotating the heck out of all of these books, because yeah. The next book I have is The Death of Vivek Oji, and this is by Akweke Emezi. Akweke Emezi is also an author that I enjoy a lot of their writing, and I kind of know what the book is about, but I'll read a bit from the back so that I don't get it wrong. It says they burnt down the market on the day Vivek Oji died. One afternoon, a mother opens her front door to find the length of her son's body stretched out on the veranda, swaddled in akwete material, his head on her welcome mat. The death of Vivek Oji transports us to the day of Vivek's birth, the day his grandmother Ahuna died. It is the story of an overprotective mother and a distant father, and the heart-wrenching tale of one's family struggle to understand their child, just as Vivek learns to recognize himself. Teeming with unforgettable characters whose lives have been shaped by Vivek's gentle and enigmatic spirit. It shares with us a Nigerian childhood that challenges expectations. This novel and its celebration of the innocence and optimism of youth will touch all those who embrace it. I'm really looking forward to this one. I've heard only good things about this book, and I think a lot of people actually take this as their favorite book from Akweke Emezi, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. The next book I have is When the Village Sleeps by Simphiwe Makona. Dr. Simphiwe Makona is an author, storyteller, motivational speaker, poet, playwright, and actor. She has received numerous literary awards as well as awards in recognition of her work around women's issues, the plight of children, and the fight against apartheid and racism. Dr. Magona recently received the Ellen Kuzoya Award as well as her third honorary doctorate from the third honorary doctorate from the Nelson Mandela University. She lives and works in Cape Town. Obviously this is a South African book, and it's another one that I think maybe we'll touch a little bit on our history, and I'm looking forward to it. So it says When the Village Sleeps is a visionary novel about what the loss of identity and dignity do to the people afflicted by decades of brokenness, told through the lives and spirits of 4 generations of Amatolo women, including the old, who speak wisdom with ever-increasing urgency. It moves between the bustling townships of Kwanele and the different rhythms of rural village life. It recalls the sweeping sagas of the great A.C. Jordan, and the Dlomo brothers and invokes the poetry of SCRIBD while boldly exploring urgent and contemporary issues. An ode to the complex strength of South African women when the village sleeps is also a powerful call to respect the earth that nurtures human life. I love that. And to live in self-sufficiency and harmony with the environment and each other. I think I'm gonna love, I don't know, I got this book but I never even read the synopsis, and now I'm like, I think I'm gonna love this. I think I'm gonna love this. I think it speaks to a lot of things that I align with, and I'm really interested in reading it. I don't know if you even be able to see the author's picture here at the back, if the camera will focus. My lens doesn't focus automatically, y'all. The next book I have is The Wanderers, and this is by Mpumi Ntabeni. This is also another South African author, and this says Pax joined the anti-apartheid struggle and went into exile before his daughter Ruru was born. Guys, see, like all of the South African books have kind of like apartheid involved, and this is why I'm like, I'm afraid, because some of the stories are very close to home, and it's like, if you listen to stories of your family members, you will probably hear about somebody who was involved in the struggle, somebody who died because of this, somebody who got lost, somebody got incarcerated. Like, it's very close to home. But this says he never returned. Oh, this is Pax, right? Almost forgot. Pax never returned. Years later, Ruru goes to Tanzania in search of the remnants of his life. She finds it in his widow and his pillow books, journals he kept while coming to terms with his mortality. Struck by the parallels with her teenage letters to her late mother, she reads to find answers to her questions. Who was he? Why did he not return? She read to find a sense of belonging in the world. Informed by Africa's recent history and examining its effects on ordinary family lives, this novel depicts the resilience of the people of the continent, a story of the parting of ways and the emerging of spirits bound by blood and undeclared immutable love. The Wanderers is an atmospheric novel that lingers unforgettably in the mind. Oh, guys, I think these books are gonna be good. I don't know about you, but I think they're gonna be good. The last book I have is The Scandalous Times of a Book Louse, a memoir of a childhood, and this is by Robert Mupondwe. Robert Mupondwe is Zimbabwean. I actually love the way that the synopsis starts. So it says, you've arrived. Sit down, please, and make yourself comfortable. There may not be much dinner tonight. Father is still out of work. Mother can't do anything with those stunted maize plants in the stony ground, but at least you are here in Gushure village. How to eliminate animal terrorism in a time of rabies, how to rehearse the body viewing of a good-looking corpse, how to rock under flying okapis with a double shuffle, and how to practice your love-making techniques on a woman drawn in the sand. I feel like this is gonna be such an enjoyable read, like practicing love-making with a woman that you drew in the sand. How? Okay. At a time when cooked ants constitute a feast, the feature nevertheless holds abundant prospects for the boy who devours words. But there is an unexpected fork in the road for this book louse, and plenty of wondrous twists and shocking turns. I think this is gonna be nice. Mbali Vilagazi says it's funny. I get that from the synopsis. It's wise and at times heartbreaking. Hilarious, poetic, and poignant. Robert Mupunda's vibrant coming-of-age story of Ronald Guramatunu brings to life rural Zimbabwe from the second Chimurenga to independence. There are malevolent mermaids, eccentric shamans, outrageous relatives, fearsome teachers, and men who transform into hippos in a tale that captures all the magic of childhood. What? What? Guys, I don't even know. Maybe I had forgotten, maybe I had completely forgotten when I first read the synopses of all of these books, but I'm kind of like a little bit shocked right now. And I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna have a great time reading like a lot of these books, and I'm really excited to be picking them up. And that makes the bulk of my books that I actually want to read in 2023 of the African literature genre. And please let me know in the comments down below what your favorite African literature books have been and which books I need to look up for and read, because I am looking to expand and grow in this genre. Even though it's not my go-to genre, I still want to dedicate myself to reading a lot of the books. So please leave your recommendations down below. I would really appreciate it. And that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment down below, like I said, of your favorites as well as your recommendations. Remember to hit that bell to get notified every time I have a new video out, and share this video with your friends and family, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.